Okay guys, so here is your tutorial for how to complete your double entry journal, which is your final written part of your iSearch project. So if you've gotten to this point, you've done most of the hard work, and this is just going to kind of show both me and your English teacher your thinking and how you've thought through this process. So first thing I would like for you to do is to pause the video, and I just want you to read the directions on the first page. Because those are going to really help you kind of follow along. So pause the video, come back as soon as you've read the directions. So if you're back, you have read that you are going to be using your 5 main sources to create a double entry journal. And on this left-hand side, you're actually going to be copying and pasting quotes straight from your source. And then on this right-hand side, you're going to be providing some response and showing your thinking about those sources. So you know that out of the 7 options that are here, you're going to choose 4 of the 7. So I could answer number 1, number 3, number 5, and number 7 for source number 1. I could answer 2, 3, 4, and then 7 for source number 2. It doesn't matter which ones I do as long as I do 4 of them and I include number 7, which I've highlighted in yellow for you right here, for every single one. The first thing that you're going to want to do though is you are going to want to complete your citation using MLA style citations. So there are a couple of different directions that I've included here for you in order to do that. These are straight from the OWL Purdue MLA site, so these are really good. And then if you're a little more graphic person, I've also included an infographic chart here that you just kind of use to plug in your information. So whichever one you want to use, the directions are the same, they just appear a little differently depending on how you prefer to see them. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to use my place under example. You guys will be putting yours where it says source number 1, and I'm going to get ready to do my first citation because I want to get that done first. I'm going to go to my outliner and I'm going to pick a source. So Greece travel tips is what I've opened here, and now I've got to go through and I've got to create my citation. The easiest way to do this is going to be to just follow the directions. Again, whichever one's easier for you to follow. I'm going to use my example for websites here. So it says I need the author's last name. So I've got to see if I can find an author. Now remember, not all websites are going to have authors, so you just need to kind of look around. The site is called Nomadic Matt, so that is not my author. Remember that authors generally are near the top of the page or near the bottom of the page. So I'm just going to kind of look around here, and I do not see an author. So I'm not going to freak out. I am not going to stress. I can't create an author because this website just doesn't give me one. I am just going to skip that part. So when I look back at my directions, I see that author's last name, comma, author's first name. I cannot find either of those, so I'm going to skip to the next part. The next part says I need the title of the page, and notice as it says that I need it inside quotation marks. So I'm going to go to the top of my page and see what the title of this page within here. So the title of the whole site is Nomadic Matt, and that's kind of easy to tell on this one because I have a bar up at the top. But the site that I'm looking at, or the page I'm looking at, is Greece Travel Tips. So I'm going to go back over to my double entry journal, and I am going to put quotation marks like it told me. And I'm going to type that in. I'm going to end my quotation marks. Actually, I'm going to put a period and then end my quotation marks because that's what it tells me to do right up here. Okay? Notice that these directions are the exact same as the directions for a website right here. They're just in a little different format to make it easier to see. Okay? So once I've gotten the name of the page, the next thing I need is the title of the whole website in italics. The title of my whole site is Nomadic Matt. So I'm going to come back down here. I'm going to italicize my writing. I'm going to type that in, and then I'm going to see what I need to put next. It looks like I need to put a comma and put the publisher only if it's different than the name of the website. So I'm going to scroll through and see. Again, publisher is going to be kind of in the same place, either the top or the bottom. I don't see anything that looks very different. I see Nomadic Matt's travel site here, but it's not like that this was published by Travelocity or anything like that. So I don't really need to put anything else right here. So since I'm good, I'm going to go back over and see what's next. It looks like I need to put a comma and I need to put the date published. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and see that I actually do have a date. I only have a year, it's 2017, but I can use that. So I'm going to come back over and unitalicize my writing and put 2017. And then it looks like I need a comma and I need the URL. So I'm going to come down here, I'm going to put my comma, and I'm going to go over here and grab my URL by clicking in the URL box, copying, and pasting in. Okay, now a couple things happened when I first pasted that in. First of all, it went down to a separate line, which that just kind of looks a little funky, so let's fix that first. So you can break URLs anytime there is a slash. And what I mean by break is you can click right in there, you can hit enter, and I get some of it that goes back up to the top, and I can kind of play around and see if I hit enter after this one. Oh, that one works too, so that I have it goes a full line here. Okay. Second thing that I need to do is take the actual blue part out, and it tells me to take out the HTTP, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that, because if I look here it says remove this, so I've removed it. And then I just want to remove my link here because I don't want it to be blue. It shouldn't be blue. So I'm going to hit remove, and then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to hit remove. All right. And then if I look at my typed out examples up here, do you guys notice how the first line is all the way to the edge, but the second line is indented in? I need to do that to mine. It's called a hanging indent, and I've got to have mine indented this way. So I'm going to come down here, and I am going to hit the backspace button. So it does that. I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to hit tab. And you see how that now lets me tab over. If I just hit tab, it's going to tab the top line also, which is really annoying. And then if this blue pops up, I'm just going to remove that as well. Okay, so I can look at my examples here and I see that I need to have a period at the end. So I'm going to put the period right there, and now my citation is done. So notice, guys, for this citation, I have skipped anything that didn't appear. So I didn't have the author's name, I didn't have a publisher. Notice that I just skipped that. So this citation is great. Okay, it's got all the things that we need, it's got the punctuation where it should be, and it skipped the things that we didn't have. Now I did want to show you one other thing about citations. Remember, guys, I mentioned this to those of you who used Gale already, but remember if you were using an article from Gale, and I'm just going to pull up a random article just to get us started. Remember, if you're using an article from Gale, you don't have to do any of that hard work. All you have to do is hit Citation Tools here, and what it's going to come up with is MLA 8th edition, which is what we want. And all you have to do is copy it and put it in your double entry journal. So you can just copy it and paste it, and then you do need to just fix your formatting. So what I mean by that is you need to put it in the same font, and I'm going to show you a little trick that makes that really easy. You can select a little bit of this and hit this paint format, and then you can fix it like that. And the only thing you would then have to do is anywhere it was italicized, you would need to go back and italicize. But you can easily tell because if I don't remember agriculture collection was italicized, I can click back here and see that it is. And so I can fix that. And then I need to get my tabs correct because remember it needs to be underneath. Remember if I hit tab like that, it does this weird thing. It doesn't look right. So what I do is I hit backspace, enter tab, and then I find a place where I can break it. You can break it also after symbols. And I've got my citation completely done there. Okay, so those are your directions for your citations, and my suggestion to you is to go ahead and do your citations first. Just go through and do all 5 citations so they're done, and then move on to the actual content part. And that's where you're going to go to your next tutorial to see the content. Okay, hope that helped, and if it did not, remember to raise your hand, ask questions, don't sit there confused. Your English teacher or I can help you with whatever you need help with.